Do you guys want to know how you guys can analyze your own chess games without the help of a single coach while still improve your chess rating to the levels you guys desire? If that's the case, then this is the video for you, coming straight after the intro. Improving chess can be difficult, especially when you're first starting out and have no clue, no guidance on what you guys should do to first begin. Now, luckily for you guys, I, National Master Sean Lei, am here to be your own personal free chess coach, eager to help you guys achieve the rating that you guys have only dreamed you guys can achieve. Too many beginner and intermediate players fall into the trap of playing way too many chess games, whether it's bullet blitz or maybe even rapid games, without ever taking a look back at any of the games that they won, drawn, or lost and check for any mistakes that they've made. This is not only detrimental to your chess growth, but it will never help you improve, as you guys might be even reinforcing bad ideas into your chess games that you think are very good, very brilliant moves, when in reality they're just bad, terrible moves that are holding you back from getting that rating you so desire. And thus, the importance of analyzing our own chess games should be quite obvious. With every single game analysis, and mind you guys, I said every single game analysis and not every single chess game we play, we should be learning something new. We should be learning what to do or what not to do after every single game we either won, drawn, or perhaps lost. As Albert Einstein once said, insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results, and chess is no different. With every new piece of knowledge you acquire from every single chess game analysis, you should be able to see your rating gradually improve, guaranteed slowly over time. Without further ado, onto the core part of today's chess video: how to analyze your own chess games without the need of a coach. For this, you're going to need a Chess account. Now, if you have a full premium membership on chess.com, that will absolutely work as well. So from the Chess main page, we're going to be using this tool that I found super duper useful and was able to help me increase my rating from basically an unrated player all the way to 2200 plus in less than 3 years. So it's this tool called the analysis board tool over here. So what we're going to do, first of all, is take the game that we're going to analyze, the PGN of it, and import it into this game. How we do that is just copy paste it, put it in, and press import PGN. Now we're taken to basically the board in which we end the game that we basically played. So in this game, a little bit of backstory, is a game that I played in one of my club championships that we have here in Canada, and this was against a FIDE master, Mark Plotkin, who is now an international master last I checked, and it was a game that I was playing as black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert the board over here, flip the board, so I can look at the game from black's perspective. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is take a quick glance at the game and to see where does it ever stop this right side over here, in which it shows me grandmaster or master level gameplay, and see where it stops and see where the first novelty or first move that was never played before played, and see if that was my move and if I made a mistake. So let's go through it. As you can see, this is just a very normal Philidor defense, and everything here is normal up until this certain move. It seems to me in this position, the most common moves are knight g3, castle, f4, knight g3, and d takes e5. So nowhere does in this position does queen to d3 was it ever played. So this was one of my white's mistakes, and if I wanted to analyze some of my white's opponent mistakes and see what things I can improve from here, what I would probably do is maybe ask myself, what do these moves all have in common? Castle, knight g3, f4, d takes e5. What do all these moves have in common that queen d3 do not have? And I think I can see why queen d3 is very bad. If I try to think about it a little bit deeply, I see that my opponent is trying to castle queenside. And if I were to check out these other moves, knight g3, maybe trying to go for knight f5, f4, castle kingside, none of these moves actually try to castle as white onto the queen side. So maybe that's a mistake that I can maybe try to take advantage of in the future. So let's keep going. So far, like up to now, I played very nicely. As you can see, these are all moves that black has been played Black has played in many different variations before. If you guys want to know how to prepare an opening, I'll be making a video of that quite soon, in which to teach you guys how to prepare your own openings so you can play up to like move 10 sometimes, maybe up to move 15, knowing what to do, so you don't really have to think or use too much time on your clock. But back to analyzing our own game. So queen d3 was played, and in this position, already I can see whether or not the move I played is very correct. So the engine recommends knight g6. And so knight g6 was the move I played, which is pretty lucky, which what this does is it basically solidifies my idea back in the day of playing knight g6, maybe playing knight h4, maybe playing knight f4, but basically this solidifies this maneuver as being very good. So what I would do is maybe in a notebook over here, maybe in a notebook like this, I would jot down, I would probably just write down things. For example, I'll write down, hey, this knight f8, knight g6 idea is played by masters before. In fact, the computer actually quite likes it as well. So moves like these are very good. So after this, my opponent played rook g1. And as you can see through the engine, like over here, it goes from a +1 advantage to a 0 advantage immediately. So what went wrong? What move does it recommend? And it recommends just immediate bishop e3, then pawn c6, and it just says that this position is very good for white, even though not much of the position has changed. So rook g1, and suddenly it's an equal position. So, however, we're not really analyzing our opponent's mistakes, though a good player does learn from their opponent's mistakes, but right now we're just focusing on our own mistakes so we can improve our own opening and middle game techniques. So in this position, it recommends pawn c6, which is the move that I actually played in this position. And so why is pawn c6 a good move? Well, it's good for a couple reasons. And again, I would write this down in my notebook again. I would think to myself, hey, pawn c6 allows us to set up pawn b5, our opponent tries to castle queenside, and it gives us a lot of counterplay, and I know that counterplay is very good. If I wanted to test out another move, for example, if I wanted to see if h5 is a good move to try to take advantage of this, as you can see, it doesn't actually change the position actually. So this move is not actually that bad as well, except just c6 with the idea of just playing b5 is a lot better. So I could also maybe jot down h5 ideas, but since c6 was the move I played, there was no need, and I could keep playing these ideas in the Philidor-like positions in the future. So my opponent played bishop b3, and in this position, b5 is validated again. Basically, I know that going for queenside attacks against my opponent, who's playing this weird rook g1 idea, not allowing his king to castle, who's trying to get into castle queenside, this idea of doing a pawn storm or premature pawn storm is actually very decent. My opponent plays pawn f4. And in this position, you're going to see my position all of a sudden went from 0 equal to completely better for me. So I already know that this f4 idea is actually not that scary. And I know a lot of you guys might be getting a little bit spooked in front over here, right? That these pawns are very spooky. He's controlling a lot of center. So of course, white has to be better in this position. But what I've realized through a lot of game analysis before this game actually is that even though these pawns are very menacing, they don't actually achieve a whole lot, right? For example, he can't capture because I'll just capture back and he'll be left on the isolated e4 pawn. So what I've realized is that these pawns aren't as scary as they seem. And that's something I learned before in my own notebook. So that's how I knew that these f4 ideas are not scary whatsoever. So I just continue my attack with pawn b5. The computer engine really likes it. Knight e4 and queen a5. Basically going for these tactical ideas. So after this, b3, bishop a6, and all these moves are very simple. They're just gaining tempo and captures. And in this position, it actually recommends queen to c7, queen to b5, and queen takes c3 check. So my question is, after queen b5, it gives black a slight advantage here, right? So even though it recommends queen takes c3, it realizes queen b5 is a little bit superior after giving it a little bit of seconds to actually calculate. In this position, it finds that white can castle. So this was actually a mistake that I made during my own game, which is why queen c7 might be actually optimal because it defends the e5 pawn in a less precarious situation such as queen b5. And the reason being that this queen can't actually capture here because bishop to f1 just traps the queen, right? And after it traps the queen, for example, queen takes h2 and queen takes c6 check, I'm in a little bit of trouble, right? Because my rook is lost, the bishop can be lost, and I have a lot of issues. So I didn't quite see that, so I realized, oops, that's my mistake, so I can't do that. So I now know that this tactic that I might have to look at a little bit closely in the future, but I just castled calmly here, and my opponent decided to play rook to e1. So after this, I decided to capture f4, and this is a huge mistake. As you can see, it's completely better for me here as black. I should have just played here and just kept the status quo in the center. But here I was a little bit spooked, I was a little bit scared. So what I realized what I should do in this position is I realized that, hey, maybe I should capture here, but I now know that capturing there is never good. Like for example, you can see that the position already gives my opponent already an equal position from what was completely winning for me. So you guys get quite easily what I'm trying to say. Go through the game, look at the engine, and look through the moves. Basically, look through the moves, figure out, hey, why is this move bad? Why is this move good? Why does the engine say this position went from completely winning to completely losing all of a sudden, right? And then, so you guys see how I haven't really used the engine's basically recommended ideas. What I did instead was I tried to think by myself, why is this move good? Why is this move bad? And I basically learned by myself what moves are good and what moves are bad, while also recording everything within the notebook to make sure that I would never make the same mistakes ever again. So I can see my rating improving, I can see myself improving in this opening, in the Philidor, just by analyzing the game, not by doing any computer analysis. I don't use the computer engine lines because these engine lines are not really moves that really are important, because in this position, the odds of this happening again, this specific position, is very unlikely. But what's more important is the ideas, right? For example, taking on f4, terrible, never do that again, right? For example, this queenside attack, very good, try to do that again, right? This knight f8, knight g6 maneuver, very good, do this again. So I'm noting these things down, so in the future, if I ever get to a similar position, not quite identical, I can be playing these same things. Now, if you guys want to see the rest of the game, this is what basically happened. It's not the important thing. For example, rook takes c1 was just kind of silly from me, as you can see. And I actually got into a pretty good winning position here, but in the end, I kind of just messed up, and I resigned in a completely won position, which is very funny. In this position, I resigned, even though this position, technically by Stockfish, says is -8. I just didn't see any continuation, but in reality, there was any move was really good. For example, rook b is just killer, because I was scared of queen e2, queen e7, but I realized that, oops, sorry, this queen check is just winning, because king here and knight c4 check, which is actually very cool because this happens, and that is checkmate. But that's beside the point. That's not to the emphasis of today's video. So as you can see, literally the most important thing that I realized, first of all, is figured out, what have grandmasters been playing, and figured out, basically for my opening, what are some ideas that a lot of people play. And after I do that, I just go through the game and see, where does the balance shift? Like, where does the position go from 0 to +1, or +1 to 0, or 0 to -1, and see which moves allow me to get into a good position, which moves allow me to get into a bad position, and most importantly of all, keep it all in a notebook that you keep handy, so you guys never make the same mistakes ever again. And if you never make the same mistake ever again, then guess what? Rating has gradually improved. I know all of this is going to be a lot of hard work, especially after every single game. But I never said learning how to play chess was going to be fast, nor was it going to be very easy. Instead, like most things in life, you need to work hard for what you want to achieve, especially in chess, especially if you're trying to get a very high rating. Keep a database of all the games you've ever played. Keep a notebook tracking down everything, every single mistake that you've made. And I can promise you, I can assure you, you will get better in the long term. Now before you guys go to watch this amazing video in which I teach you the secret technique I use to help me figure out the best moves in any chess middle game, I want you guys to make sure that you guys know that you guys have another resource to help you guys improve in a very, very fast way. And that's why asking me any single chess question you have, as I will never ask for anything from you guys except maybe subscribing or liking my chess videos, as that would always help me a lot.